This is Beer in Front, part of the Beer Media Group. Every week I'll talk to people in and around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to episode 254 of Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris, and Beer in Front is a charter member of the Beer Media Group. It's Illinois Craft Beer Week coming up. It's right around the corner, and get this, it's not just Illinois Craft Beer Week. That's the 9th through the 16th. American Craft Beer Week is the 12th through the 18th. So if you're not in Illinois, you should come here and visit. But if not, you can enjoy fine craft beer around the United States. So middle of May is Craft Beer Week. I'm going to talk to Ray Stout from the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild. I couldn't get a hold of Trump or anyone from America to talk about it, but I've got Ray Stout, and that's better than anyone else. So Ray Stout and I, we're going to talk about Illinois Craft Beer Week, Beer Under Glass, which has a new location. So this is going to be a fun-filled episode. If you missed last week's show, go back. Hit pause on this, go back and listen to last week's, because that was awesome. I talked to Half Acre. We did a gumbo and beer pairing there. That was cool. It had a lot of listens. One of my best received in a long time. So definitely check that out. In the show notes, there's a link if you want to download the gumbo recipe and you can make it for yourself. But definitely check out last week's show with Half Acre. Coming up next in my beer and food pairing series, I just recorded an interview over at Old Irving. I talked to Trevor Rose Hamblin, who's a co-founder there, head brewer. We had one of the best burgers I've ever had in my life, if not the best. We paired that with a new beer, so that's going to come out in a couple of weeks. Hopefully I get some more people getting back to me. We're playing phone tag and email tag, but so far I'm really stoked about this series. But definitely, the next one with Trevor from Old Irving, that's going to be outstanding as well. If you have a beer and food pairing suggestion that you'd like me to try, please email me, dave@beerinfront.com. I'd love to hear about it. Get this, I didn't know this about one of my former guests, Emily Hutto from Radcraft. We were emailing. She mentioned that she liked the show with Half Acre, and she had a book on beer and food pairings that came out a couple years back. Who knew? So I now have the book, and hopefully I'm going to read this coming up. I'm finishing another book that I'm working on right now, and then I'm going to get to Emily's book. But I can get Emily on, and we could talk about one of the recipes and beers from her book. Who knew Emily wrote a book? I'm not sure if there's going to be a show coming out next week. I hope so, but I'm going to a new schedule now. So currently, I have Mondays and Tuesdays off, so I'm recording this Monday the 28th. I'll have it out tomorrow, the 29th. I'm going to be working next Monday and Tuesday, and I'm going to have weekends off starting next week. So I'm on a long stretch at work, so I don't know how I'm going to be, if I'm going to have time to get one out next week. I hope so, but just in case, you've been forewarned, so maybe listen to this one twice. In beer and beverage news, it seems like 2025 is going to be the year of the shandy. Everyone's coming out with one. Just reading over on my Beer Buzz that Hoppin' Frog's coming out with one. Theirs is going to be a cherry lime shandy, a citrus ale. That sounds pretty good to me. I'd have to give that one a try if I can get my hands on it. Speaking of cherries and limes, Goose Island's coming out with Cherry Bang Bang. This is a cherry and lime fruited sour. This is going to be in 12-ounce cans. They don't have the ABV or anything, but that should be coming out in 2025. And speaking of Goose Island, some of the 2025 Bourbon County brand stout variants have been announced. So they're going to have a Cherries Jubilee. that's coming out. They're going to do a chocolate praline stout. That sounds interesting. A peach melba. This sounds really intriguing. It's an imperial stout aged in bourbon barrels. They're going to have peaches, raspberries, and vanilla. That sounds pretty interesting as well. And then sticky toffee pudding stout. That's another one. They all sound good to me. More variants are going to be announced coming up, but those look pretty intriguing. Illinois Craft Beer Week is May 9th through the 16th this year. There are events throughout the state where you could kick off the summer season and celebrate our great breweries, from as far north as Harbor Brewing in Winthrop Harbor to Scratch Brewing down in Ava. I'd like to welcome back the Executive Director of the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild, Ray Stout. Ray, long time no see, brother.
Hey, Dave. Happy to be back. Good to see you again.
Illinois Craft Beer Week is always the best week of the year. It kicks off with beer under glass. There's a new location this year. What can you tell people about the new Harris Theater rooftop terrace in Millennium Park?
We are so excited about this location. One of the things that we were hearing from people when we were at Union Station was we really miss kind of the outside component of beer under glass. It's spring. You want to be outside in nature, enjoying some fresh air and some fresh beer. And so, we thought no better place overlooking Millennium Park, surrounded by, the beautiful architecture and glass skyscrapers of Chicago's skyline. There's no better place to host this celebration.
And so it's going to be like rain or shine. If the weather's inclement, it'll still be able to be held like inside.
Yeah, rain or shine for sure. There is a very, very large tent up there. So, a significant portion of it. But, in the event of rain, bring a jacket and let's have some fun in the rain.
Sounds good. I know we've been talking about this for the last couple of years. I have some friends of mine from Vegas coming to Beer Under Glass. They're like, we already grabbed tickets. We'll see you there. I'm like, perfect. You're going to love it.
It's such a cool celebration. This year we have, 85 breweries from across the state, and there's no other place that you could really try, breweries from, all across Illinois in one venue. Fobab does that a little bit, but Fobab is very, specific to barrel aged beer. Here you're going to be able to try kind of every style under the sun from virtually every brewery, that you could hope for.
Yeah, I mean, with Fobab, Illinois is well represented, but that's also more of a national competition where we have breweries from outside the state. Beer Under Glass is just strictly Illinois breweries, correct?
Without a doubt. And with Fobab, barrel aging beer, takes a lot of time and also takes a lot of space, right? And so, while there's plenty of breweries that participate in Fobab that are from Illinois, there are so many breweries that just don't have the square footage to stand up a barrel aging program. So, this is another way for you to check them out.
What other events are happening during Illinois Craft Beer Week?
There's so much on tap. So the idea this year is to kind of give it back to the breweries and the retailers and kind of turn it into a real celebration. And, the things that we're doing as the Guild, we're doing Beer Under Glass. We're kicking off our statewide passport program. We're having our pint day. But, where we really think our position is in Craft Beer Week is kind of helping amplify our members' events, collaborations, tours, releases, and just really lean into the fact that this is a celebration. And there's been some kind of conversations around, hey, are Craft Beer Week still worth it, right? And our response is heck yeah, because we need to celebrate this industry and how far we have come and all the adversity we have gone through, and really help promote these really amazing independent small businesses across the state.
You mentioned the passport. Is it going to be similar to years past where you go to a participating brewery, get a stamp, and then the person can win prizes?
That's exactly right. It's going to be run the same way as the one we did last year, where there'll be a special pint glass drawing, but drawings at 25, 50, 75, and 100 breweries. And so, that runs all summer. So when we release those passports on the first day of Craft Beer Week, run, do not walk to your local brewery because they go fast.
Well, and I do want to thank you. We talk all the time, but I need to personally thank you that Craft Beer Week is the 9th through the 16th. That coincides with my vacation, Ray.
Y-
That's perfect planning. So, when my wife goes on vacation, she's going to Peru. I'm going to go to Illinois and drink beer this year.
And there's so much beer to check out. You'll
Yeah.
definitely have more than a week's worth of challenge ahead of you.
Yeah, I got a good head start on that. I'm like, when I saw the dates, I'm like, wait, let me look at I'm on vacation.
Wonderful.
The glass that's going to be this year for Pint Day, that really looks sharp. And I know I have a couple friends from around the country that are like, hey, we'll swap you. So I know I have one. I'm going out to Colorado. I think I've got one going out to North Carolina, but the glass is awesome. Who designed it this year?
The glass is designed by Matt Panetti of Ashley Road. Matt does a lot of artwork for various breweries across the state. I think probably the most he does is for Skeleton Key Brewing. But we came to him with an idea of let's hold up kind of this kind of neon dive bar aspect of kind of beer culture, and he took it and ran with it, and it's just so cool. You have the Lincoln Head and kind of the Chicago skyline down all the way down to Springfield, and it's just such a cool Easter egg of a glass, and it's my favorite for sure.
And the style is a little different, where a lot of places have just like your shaker pints. This is a different style that look kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a 17-ounce cooler glass. It's one of those kind of short, stouter wide glasses. And, they're one of my favorite glasses when I go to a brewery. The first thing I do, don't tell anybody, is kind of judge them by their glassware a little bit. And so this is kind of my favorite, one of my favorite styles of glassware. So I'm assuming people are going to love it too. The other thing is that this is also a fundraiser for the Guild, right? So every glass sold, some of that money gets donated back to the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild to help us on our mission.
Well, I'll be purchasing a couple, so I'm doing my part. If there's anyone out there that still wants to get tickets to Beer Under Glass, are tickets still available?
Yeah, tickets are still available. They are going fast. We're about 3/4 of the way sold out, which is really good news for us, I guess, but bad news for people who are going to be on the outside looking in. We are purposely cutting ticket sales off at, a number that we think is, yeah, makes for a good festival. We could probably sell twice as many tickets as we are planning to do. But, we want people to have a great experience. It's all about the consumer experience and be able to have that time and FaceTime with the brewers to, talk about the beer and explore something cool. But yeah, tickets are still available on IllinoisBeer.org. And then you'll find link to bug tickets as well as plenty of other information about Illinois Craft Beer Week.
Cool. And, if you're looking to get a ticket, grab the VIP ones. It's well worth the extra couple bucks. You get in an hour early. You can get in there before things get, too hectic. So the VIP ticket is always the pro move when it comes to a festival.
Yeah, VIP tickets for sure. One of the things that we heard about at Union Station is there were some lines for the bathroom, and so we're happy to announce that we're going to have the run of the amphitheater bathrooms as well. So there'll be no waiting for that.
Now, last year there was at Union Station, I believe, wasn't there like a bourbon type table, and then there was some food from Big Fork brands? Is that still going to happen this year?
Yeah, we're partnering with the concessionaire for Millennium Park. They actually have a really great operation, actually partnered with Double Clutch Brewing right there in the park. And so they're going to be providing food for sale, and they'll have brats and pretzels and all kind of that handheld stuff. And so we're excited to help people on their journey.
Yeah, definitely. Don't go in there with an empty stomach. Eat something, fill your stomach up. So this is in Millennium Park, so it's going to be accessible via public transportation. You can take Ubers, things like that. So is that something you always look for when you're looking for a location? Because you really don't want knuckleheads like me driving.
Without a doubt. So accessibility is super important to us, and we want to make sure that people can get there. Uber, public transportation, designated driver. It's a beer fest, right? And people are consuming alcohol, and we want to make sure they're doing it responsibly. But it's okay to cut loose a little bit and have a good time, but we want to make sure everybody gets home safe.
Yes, definitely. So definitely take an Uber or have somebody drive you or jump on the train. Anything else coming up this summer that, people could look forward to?
So we have a couple of events coming down the pipe that we're pretty excited about. I would say the first one I'll say is we Friday Night Flights is coming back to Gallagher Way. That's going to be on June 6th. And for anybody who has been to that event, it's one of my favorite ones. It's literally in the shadow of Wrigley Field. Probably one of the best deals in Beer Fest tickets you could have. So when we're partnering again with the Gallagher Way team, so tickets will be released pretty soon. We're also going to be doing an Illinois Craft Beer Pavilion at the State Fair this year for the first time in I think in a decade. So, on August 8th and 9th, we're going to be focusing on mid-state and downstate brewers. And the State Fair has been great enough to kind of give us our own pavilion, which we're going to be able to do kind of, sampling as well as pints across the bar for all the thirsty parents chasing their kids across the Midway.
Oh, yeah, that sounds awesome. I might have to make a trip down to Springfield this year for that.
It should be a great time. And, we're continuing to kind of build these connections between, the state and tourism and destination marketing organizations because, craft beer in the state is big business. And, what we're seeing more and more is people are researching food and drinks before they travel. They're making travel choices based on drink options, and what we're seeing amongst millennials is many of them are seeking unique food and drink experiences, and our craft beer scene is unparalleled on that.
You were mentioning like millennials and their habits. Last time I saw you was a month ago over at conference over at in Wheeling at District Brew Yards. Sorry, just lost my train of thought about the THC beverages. How are those coming along? I know I talked to Carl from Twisted Hippo in Shine On. That'll be released before I talk to you, but Carl's a great guy.
Carl's a great guy, standing up an awesome brand, Twisted Hippo Shine On, and we're seeing more and more breweries get into the kind of alternative beverage space. Hemp beverages, continue to kind of operate in this unregulated area of Illinois law. And so, we're working hard with a number of stakeholders to pass common sense legislation, hopefully this session, to, create a framework and to, set the rules because, we want to make sure that consumers are safe. We want to make sure these products are being made kind of consistently and transparently. And we want to make sure that brewers have the opportunity to participate in this marketplace that, has the potential to be a significant revenue driver for both, small businesses as well as local economies.
Yeah, I mean, even, the local bottle shops that I frequent, you could tell like the shelf space that they have for this was really small about a year ago. And now it's just grown by leaps and bounds, even at your larger chains like Binny's. They got a huge selection of, these types of beverages. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a booming market.
Yeah, and I think once regulatory certainty comes, then we start getting into, the Jewels and the Krogers and the, all the other kind of larger chain environments that have been slow adopters, waiting for, regulation.
All right. Well, Ray, I thank you again for coming on. I know you got a lot of stuff to take care of, but don't forget Illinois Craft Beer Week, May 9th through the 16th. I'll see you at Beer Under Glass. Get your tickets now. I'll include the link in the show notes. Ray, thanks again, brother. I'll see you at Beer Under Glass.
Awesome, Dave. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. All right, the beer that's in front of me now for Illinois Craft Beer Week is from Alarmist. This is Entrenched 10-year anniversary beer. It's an IPA. I don't think I've talked enough about Alarmist on the show. I do love everything they put out. Rock solid brewery here in the great state of Illinois. But I saw this 10-year anniversary beer and I had to grab it. So let's crack it open. Wonderful, nice, dark color. Definitely more of a West Coast here. Very clear, but dark. I mean, I love it. Looks great. Great foam. Oh, smells great. This is like Old school West Coast IPA. Smells fantastic. Oh, that's delicious. Definitely a lot of malt character there. You do get some bitterness, not over the top bitterness like, the IBU wars back in the day, but you definitely get the bitterness there. I love this beer. This is great. This is fantastic. I'm going to shut up, have one more sip. No, that's absolutely fantastic. If you're a fan of old school West Coast IPAs that we were drinking 10 years ago, definitely if you see this one from Alarmist, Entrenched 10-year anniversary beer, you definitely need to throw this one in the cart. It's absolutely fantastic, and happy anniversary to Alarmist. Hurricane Helene devastated western North Carolina last year. This affected a lot of people in the brewing industry. The North Carolina Craft Brewers Foundation has a disaster relief effort, and they're aiding individuals and businesses in the craft beverage industry that have been affected. You could order a great shirt from my friends at Rad Craft, and all of the proceeds will go towards the North Carolina Craft Brewers Foundation's disaster relief effort. So if you'd like a cool shirt, I'm going to include the link in the show notes to head over to Radcraft. Emily Hutto from Radcraft, she's been on the show a couple times. She's even offered a discount. So if you want to order it, and like I said, I'll include all the links and everything. But if you use the code Beer in Front and the number 10, run it all together. Beer in Front 10, you'll save $10. But if you pay full price, more money will go to the relief effort. So you know what to do. But pick up a shirt, help out the North Carolina Craft Brewers Foundation, help the people in Western North Carolina, because they still need your help. All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Beer in Front. I thank you very much for listening. Once again, I want to thank Ray Stout, the executive director of the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild, for coming on and talking Illinois Craft Beer Week. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy Craft Beer Week, whether you're here in Illinois or you're out in America. Enjoy Craft Beer Week. I'll talk to you next week. And remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet.